Hi all. Now we are going to discuss on the voltage division rule in a series circuit. So we have a voltage V which is applied across the resistances R1 and R2 which is connected in series. So the current I is flowing through these resistances and they are the same through resistance R1 and also through resistance R2. The voltage drop across the resistance R1 is V1 and the voltage drop across the resistance R2 is V2. Therefore, the total resistance we can write it as R is nothing but R1 plus R2 because it is a series circuit. R1 plus R2. And the total current I is nothing but V divided by the total resistance. That is nothing but R1 plus R2. Now, the voltage drop V1 across the resistance R1 is V1 is equal to I into R1. Therefore, I can write V1 is nothing but I is nothing but V divided by R1 plus R2. V divided by R1 plus R2 into R1. So effectively it is nothing but the voltage drop V1 across the resistance R1 is nothing but the total voltage V into that respective resistance R1 divided by sum of the resistances R1 and R2. In the similar fashion we can write it as V2 equal to, just see how can I write the total voltage V into corresponding resistance R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So this is the voltage division rule. So for the voltage division rule, along with the total voltage, we are taking that respective resistance R1 itself, or the respective resistance R2 itself, for which we are calculating the voltage drop. Now we are going to discuss on the current division rule in parallel circuit. We have the voltage V, which is applied across the two resistances R1 and R2, which are connected in parallel, and the corresponding currents are I1 and I2 to the respective resistance R1 and R2, and the total current is I. We have seen in the previous lecture 1 by R is nothing but 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2, that is when the resistances are connected in parallel. So the equivalent resistance R is nothing but R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So this total system we can define it as a voltage source V to a current I, and the resistance R is nothing but this one. So V is nothing but I into R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Also, since it's a parallel circuit, the voltage across the resistances R1 and R2 are the same. So therefore I can write the voltage V also equal to I1 into R1. Now it implies I1 is equal to V divided by R1. We already have V is nothing but I into R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So therefore this can be written as I into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So that is I1 is nothing but the total current I into other resistance divided by sum of the resistances. So similarly you can write I2. I2 will be equal to the total current I into other resistance, that is R1, divided by sum of the resistances R1 and R2. So we can just differentiate between the current division rule and the voltage division rule. In the current division rule, we are taking the resistance not associated with the current which we are calculating. But in the case of voltage division rule, we were taking the corresponding resistances over which we are calculating the voltage drop. So that is a basic difference. Next is Kirchhoff's laws. So Kirchhoff's laws are basically useful in calculating the current flowing in the various conductors and also in determining the equivalent resistances of a complicated network. So basically there are two laws are there. The first law is known as the Kirchhoff's current law. It is also known as point law. And it is in short form it is written as KCL, Kirchhoff's current law. It states that in an electrical network, the algebraic sum of the currents meeting at a point or junction is 0. That is, summation of all currents is equal to 0. So here we can say that it is not a simple sum, it is an algebraic sum. So it depends upon the direction in which the current is flowing. So always mention that the Kirchhoff's current law states that the algebraic sum, the importance is the algebraic sum. The algebraic sum of the current meeting at a point or junction is 0. Or in simple way, I can say that the total current leaving a junction is equal to the total current entering that junction. So you can just imagine A is nothing but a junction. So here you can say that the current I1 is coming inside, I4 is also coming inside to the junction. But the current I2, I3 and I5, they are leaving the junction. So in effectively I can say that I1 plus I4, that is the total current entering the junction, is equal to total current leaving the junction. So it is I2 plus I3 plus I5. So all the currents which is entering into the junction is I1 plus I4. So this can also be written as I1 plus I4 minus I2 minus I3 minus I5 equal to 0. So this is nothing but the algebraic sum. So you can refer to this. So effectively, as a common convention, we'll be taking all the entering currents, will be taking it as plus. So that is why I1 and I4 are plus. All the leaving currents from the junction will be taking it as minus. So this is important when we are considering the problems in the coming lectures. So all the currents which is entering in the junction will be positive and all the currents which is leaving the junction will be marked as negative. Now we are moving on to the second law. Kirchhoff's second law is nothing but the Kirchhoff's voltage law. So the Kirchhoff's voltage law, it is also known as the Kirchhoff's mesh law. In general, we will be representing it as KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law. So it says that the algebraic sum of the products of currents and resistances, its algebraic sum in each conductor is in a closed path. So it should always be in a closed path. Plus the algebraic sum of the EMFs in that path will be 0. So the algebraic sum of the products of current and resistances. Product of current and resistance means I into R. That is nothing but the voltage. In each conductors in any closed path. In a closed path only the current can flow. So that is why we are mentioning it as a closed path. That plus the algebraic sum of all EMFs, that is the voltage sources, in that path should be equal to 0. So summation of I into R plus summation of EMF is equal to 0. So in the Kirchhoff's voltage law, one important thing is there because of the parameter of algebraic sum. So here also we'll be taking that a rise in voltage concept will be taken as positive and a drop in voltage will be taken as negative. Rise in voltage is taken as positive and drop in voltage is taken as negative. That is in the case of a battery. When it has a positive terminal, it has a negative terminal. So the same battery can be also represented like this. So if you are moving from this point A to B, So it is a from negative to positive. So we imagine it as a rise in voltage. So it will be taken as plus. And the same voltage source I have reversed. And if I am moving from A to B, I am moving from positive terminal to negative terminal. So it is a drop in voltage. So I will mention it as negative. So that is with the case of a battery sources or voltage sources. Now in the case of resistance, so I am having a resistance here. So it is R. So basically what happens is that when the current is flowing through this resistance, voltage is dropped across this resistance. So there is a voltage drop across the resistance. So the potential over here will be different from the potential over here. So if I am assuming a current direction like this, and I am moving from point A to point B, then with respect to this particular point A, the point B will be at a lower potential. So when I am moving in this direction, it is a drop in voltage. So it should be marked as negative. But just imagine that if I am moving in the opposite direction of the against the conventional direction of current which I have marked, that is I am moving from B to A, but the current direction which I have marked is like this, but I am moving from the point B to A. So when I am moving from B to A, this potential B is at a lower potential when compared to the point A. So it is a rise in potential and therefore it is plus. So this is a basic understanding we should have before moving on to writing the algebraic sum. So now we have the circuit like this. So in this circuit, so this is a closed path. It is a closed path. You have voltage source VA, we have voltage source VB, and three resistances R1, R2, and R3. The first and foremost important thing is mark the direction of the current. You can take any direction of current. It need not be in the clockwise or it need not be in the anti-clockwise, but as a common policy, we will take a clockwise direction of current I. Now, I am moving from this particular point A to point B. So it is from a negative potential to a positive potential of the battery. So it is a rise in potential. So I will mark it as VA. Now I have come across the point B and C. We have a resistance. And I am moving in the same direction of the current which I already have. So the point B will be having a higher potential when compared to point C. So it is a drop in potential. So it is minus I into R1. Then from point C to point D, I am moving from a plus terminal to minus terminal. So it is a drop in potential. So it is minus VB. Then coming to point D to C, again I am moving in the same direction of the current which I have assumed. So this potential at point D will be higher when compared to point C. So it is a drop in potential. So it is minus. So it is minus I into R2. Then from point C to point A, again I am moving in the same direction of the assumed direction of the current I. So point C will be at a higher potential when compared to the point A, and therefore it is a drop in potential. So it is minus I into R3. So this should be equal to 0. Or we can write it as VA minus VB is equal to I into R1 plus R2 plus R3. So that is the algebraic sum of the products of currents and resistances in each of the conductors in a closed path, and that closed path is nothing but a mesh in a network, plus the algebraic sum of EMFs in that particular path is equal to 0. So the same thing we can also see it over here, a rise in voltage and a fall in voltage, plus and minus, and similarly the current. So this we'll again see it in the next lecture also. Thank you.